I'm Richard.
I'm Heidi.
And I'm Doug.
And we're the Card Game Guys, the internet's premier source for DC deck building game content. This week's game was recorded live at the historic Wilson Estate in lovely downtown Litchfield, Minnesota. Featured 5 players. Doug, who's here, you can actually see up in the top right with the Superman shirt on, playing as Superman. Alright, but Steven just took his first turn, and he was able to take advantage of being Shazam and buying the top card of the main deck, sight unseen.
Yep, standard kick.
Bold choice.
Yep.
And here we lucked out a little bit with Matthew being able to buy Johnny Quick to take advantage of the comedian's ability to draw a card the first time you play a villain. And then up pops Kid Flash for me to be able to buy a hero to take advantage of being Martian Manhunter. I have to say, that was quite the buy right off the top of the deck, sight unseen Gotham City Docks. You get to see a lot of activity from that as we go through this game, because he was very consistent at making sure he put something on the bottom of the main deck every time.
Okay, so that's what that card allows you to do. I haven't played with it before.
Yes, my brothers call it the anti-Swamp Thing card because they can use it to put locations out of the lineup on the bottom of the main deck to stop Swamp Thing from abusing them without having to buy them.
Ah.
Oh, there was super speed there. I was thinking I was going to take the force field. But yeah, super speed's definitely better for Superman at this point. Just because extra draw cards.
Yeah, it increases your chances of getting a second type of superpower.
Yep.
Smart move. It's a tough choice. I've got 2 heroes out there. But Amanda Waller's ability to be able to destroy cards is very powerful. Gives you the flexibility of being, I need 2 power, or I need to destroy a weakness.
I don't know, I'd have probably gone with Stargirl just for the defense factor.
That was why it took me so long to decide.
I know.
Yeah. They're both good cards as Martian Manhunter, who's already got a hero.
I do tend to be a little less destroy in playstyle than most of the other players in general.
So, David is playing as Black Canary then, and what is Matthew playing again as?
Matthew is the comedian from the expansion for Watchmen. The ability is your attack cards cost you 1 less, and you get to draw a card the first time you play a villain each turn, which is a really good combination. Ooh, kicks are going like hotcakes.
Likely because of the expense of the lineup.
Well, it's not even an expensive lineup. I mean, there's 3 4s and a 5 out there, but it's just everybody's flipping up 3. Ooh. I have to say, it's really too bad. I really wanted to be able to get Steven on the microphones for this game, because he plays very differently from the way I do, especially as Shazam. When I'm playing as Shazam, I only use the Shazam ability when there's nothing good in the lineup that I would want to spend, 4 power on. Whereas he, unless there's something that's phenomenally good, will always gamble on the top card.
Yeah, and this is the turn I'm thinking it is. Yep. I was shocked Starbolt got all the way back around.
We weren't hate drafting you aggressively enough.
Yeah. There's no reason that Superman should get Starbolt, ever. And granted, there was duplication for, I believe it was David.
That was David, yeah.
But still, he still should have grabbed Starbolt, in my opinion. Because letting that fall into Superman's lap is an error. In my opinion.
In general, I would agree, but I edited this video, I know how the game goes, and it really didn't matter.
True.
Now, I think it's interesting that you basically have, so the comedian and Black Canary benefit from villains.
So does Martian Manhunter.
And yet, people weren't really taking villains.
People haven't really been able to afford them.
Okay.
The ones that have been in the lineup have been more than whatever people had at the time, except for that first time around where we had
And
people
Johnny
pick up a few.
Quick, yeah.
Yeah, that was nice for Matthew with 2 power in the first turn and getting Johnny Quick, which is really strong as the comedian because you play it and you draw 2 cards.
Well, there hasn't been an overabundance of villains in the lineup. I mean, I think that's there was Scythe, obviously, which was just played.
Scythe and Johnny Quick were the only ones that have gone at this point, if I'm not mistaken.
And then there's just the one I'm not familiar with in the lineup. Off the top of my head.
Moloch the Mystic.
That one.
Don't worry, we'll get to see some fun with that.
Yep.
It's a really powerful card also out of the Watchmen set that we mentioned earlier. It's +3 power and reveal the top card of your deck. You may destroy it. If you do, everybody else destroys the top card of their deck. And there we see the Johnny Quick play, drawing 2 cards right off the bat from Matthew. Rarely is a 2-power card quite that strong. Here we see the magic number. It's 8 power. Does he go for Moloch the Mystic or Solomon Grundy?
It's Grundy.
Yeah, that 1 VP for every starter in your deck is really strong for the top supervillain of the stack.
At least unless you're intending to get rid of all your starter cards.
Right, but it's the first one, so you know that that's a possibility, so you don't need to destroy all of your starters right away.
And if I'm recalling correctly later, I forgot that he grabbed Grundy, and I ended up passing him a couple various vulnerabilities and such. So
yeah.
He gets some extra VP off of that.
To be honest, at this point in the game, I was sure Matthew was going to win. He is just rolling things. He's been getting big power off of like the Red Lantern core, just going to town.
Ooh, another supervillain one.
Yeah, I got to play 2 heroes as Martian Manhunter. That +3 boost is amazing.
We have Harvest.
Harvest, yes. Everybody puts a hero into the lineup, so
there
here's
you go.
what I just bought. Well, 2 turns ago, I guess.
And I think at this point I hadn't even bought a hero yet, so
yeah,
I was pretty safe there.
That poor Element woman. You have to keep your eye on her.
It doesn't help she gets hit by literally everything that affects a card type.
Well, only when you control her. Yeah,
right.
Or own her, excuse me.
Own her, yeah. But that's the only time you don't own her is when she's destroyed or if she's in the lineup.
Sure.
So she gets bounced around.
But my point is if like Mr. Freeze flips up, it doesn't destroy her out of the lineup.
True.
There we see Moloch the Mystic getting bought, so watch for that. Doug, always thinking so hard.
Yes, I know.
You like to take your time?
Options.
What were you considering then?
I don't remember here. I was thinking of grabbing Crimson or Whirlwind just for the sake of the Starbolt combo.
Oh, sure.
So you
dump
everything in
discard
your
pile.
Yeah.
Get a huge Starbolt and Man of Steel.
Right.
Yeah.
Went with the 2, superpowers instead for the sake of.
So here we see one of the benefits of the comedian, as Matthew only had 7 power, but he was able to use the -1 to get Psycho Pirate for 4 and get a kick on top of it.
Sure.
Here's a bold play. Buying Plastic Man with no equipment in my deck at all.
So why? Why buy it?
Because it was a 3-cost hero, and I had 3 power, and I'm Martian Manhunter. That's literally the only reason why. Because if I can play that in any other hero, it's 3 power, regardless of whether I have any equipment anywhere.
This has been a pretty low equipment deck so far at this point, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only one we've seen now was Flight Wings that he just played that he bought off the top of the main deck.
Right.
No, Green Arrow's bow was out there.
Oh, you're right. Yes, the Green Arrow's bow.
Right, but we're in round, 6 or 7 with 5 players, and we've seen 2 equipment. That's kind of my point.
So
Batman would be upset.
Yeah.
So now we see the first strike of duplication, where he gets to play a card that he hasn't played 2 extra times, so he gets to draw 2 extra cards with his force field. And now it's Moloch the Mystic, and he hit a punch and just destroyed everybody's top card. A bunch of people lost a VP there.
Ooh.
I think pretty much everybody.
So no, Steven hit a punch.
Ah.
And then he hate drafts Doug and buys energy absorption.
That's not the first time he's done it either.
No, he's been hoarding superpowers. Apparently he fears Doug.
As everyone should. Yeah, I think I get Mana Steel here. Yep.
Well, not a bad card for Superman.
Yeah. Pretty much every hero likes, buying themselves when they have the opportunity to do so. I think about the only one that goes off script is Green Arrow.
Green Arrow's bow is an interesting combination with Green Arrow's ability, though. It lets you reduce that cost of that supervillain that much more.
True. But I was just talking about, Green Arrow, where you get the VP bonus.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Going off of villains, it's off heroes.
Yes, it is off of heroes.
So what's the attack going on right now?
That was Psycho Pirate. Everybody had to reveal their hand and discard cards until they had no duplicates in hand. Which hit Steven really hard, as he had nothing but punches and vulnerabilities, and now he has one punch and one vulnerability left in his hand. And I think that's what I have also.
Well, it's not a bad place to be when another supervillain flips up.
It works out okay in this situation, too, because now Steven and I are trading away our one punch and one vulnerability for whatever we can get from somebody else from a Mazo.
Yep.
As we pass one left and one right.
And again, this is where I'm passing VP to my opponent.
It was beautiful. I managed to get 2 punches out of Mazo instead of a punch and a vulnerability, and that got me 2 to get the Batarang. So now I have an equipment.
Now the villains starting to trip.
And there's Steven with his 2 vulnerabilities. Those 2 attacks just really nailed him hard.
I think everyone got pretty much, I don't want to say decimated, but hit pretty hard this round.
Yeah, that 1-2 punch of Psycho Pirate and Amazo really did some damage.
So yeah, Matthew's definitely taking everyone to town right now.
Yes. He's gotten 2 supervillains already at this point. There's a nice strong X-ray vision, flipping up a supervillain.
Yep.
And one of my favorites, Ha'el, lets you draw reveal cards until you have 7 cost and put all of those into your hand.
You took that deck, right?
Yes, I did.
There's really no question. If you flip up Ha'el off of X-ray vision, that's what you're playing.
I was just making sure I wasn't get David's duplication or something off of it. Because depending what else I had in my hand, which I don't recall, but
I suppose using duplication to play X-ray vision 3 times and getting 2 Ha'els off of it is not a better play. Fair call. And there's one of the things it's going to plague Doug this whole game as he plays Man of Steel with no discard pile.
Ooh.
yeah, I think I only get a couple superpowers all game off Man of Steel. And the pause there was, do I buy a bunch off the top, or do I need the extra power for something? And ended up just getting the extra kick.
Mongol.
Yes. And now we see Steven's strong combo of using his Gotham City docks to put cards on the bottom of the main deck and then defending with Cosmic Staff to get the bottom card of the main deck. Wasn't his ideal setup there, only getting Giganta, but it's still pretty strong play.
It's generally not a combo you can set up too well, unless you just don't use the docks after you put something impressive on.
Right. You could just let something juicy sit at the bottom, but
and then hope to get attacked.
Yeah. Telekinesis is interesting. That's one of the newer cards out of Crisis 3. gives you the ability to look. It's an attack that lets you look at the top card of everybody's deck and decide whether it gets discarded or not.
Okay.
Kind of ends up usually being about the same as Deadshot, but it still gives you the ability to have the option to leave something that has a cost on top of the deck can be a big advantage.
For example, leaving Plastic Man on top of the deck for someone who doesn't have any equipment.
And yes. Of course, did everyone hate Matthew there?
You mean Steven?
Oh, sorry. Wrong.
For putting the green lantern ring at the bottom of the main deck?
Yeah.
And just to point out, Shazam has yet another 0 power turn.
Yes. I don't think I'm spoiling anything when I say that Steven does not win this game.
Multiple 0 power turns will do that to you.
Now we're kind of getting back to a normalized ratio of equipment. I mean, Shazam's gotten like 3 off the top of the main deck, and then had 2 Batarangs get by. And here we see Harvest striking hard and fast, getting 3 free heroes, including a 2 VP hero, which he's putting into his hand.
Well, White Lantern Corps is just good to have in general, because it's something you can destroy and get back. And
yeah.
Else. It's hard to complain about that card.
Ooh.
Parasite Attack.
No, that was a bad edit. It's Psycho Pirate.
Ah.
I don't know if you knew this. They're pretty much next to each other in alphabetical order. So apparently when I was dragging one in, I grabbed the wrong one.
Well, it's your first video. We'll give you a little...
I should think so. There he has 3 supervillains before anybody else has more than 1. And we get hit with Eclipso, the most expensive supervillain in the game, which has a relatively minor attack. We only discard a card for each villain in your hand.
Oh wow, yeah, that's not very harsh.
I think this is the first time I've ever been hit by Eclipso. Sure, it seems weird, but just random happenstance.
Mm-hmm. I'm so mad at myself for Satana Zatara in this game. She keeps coming up and making Ha'el cut out a lot earlier. She's way more expensive than she should be.
Yeah, she should be at least plus 2 power for the cost anyway.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of comboing you can do by putting stuff on the bottom of your deck. Just...
So Plastic Man actually got to do something this turn, because I did draw Batarang also. So. And 2 heroes. It's a nice big turn there.
A slightly improved kick.
Alright, by Eclipso. Eclipso, when you play him, is amazing. You see that fantastic edit I did there? Putting on the Gentleman Ghosts, you can clearly see it as that tiny card in the corner.
Okay, so what was the point of that?
That was a mistake. This attack, since it was too small for you to read, is that everybody destroys 2 different cards costing 1 or more from their discard pile. And you see there, White Lantern Corps is already earning itself, because he managed to destroy that and get it right back again, because that's what it does.
But Steven's Cosmic Staff got
Yes,
destroyed.
Steven lost his Cosmic Staff, so he no longer has his cool combo.
So you got to use the Grand Hurdle once.
Yes.
It's always disappointing when you have something that you can trigger like that, and then it never pays off.
Yeah. There goes Brother Blood, though. No 2 VPs for any of us.
Well, it's just a good card, too.
Yeah.
4 power for 6 cost is not anything to sneeze at.
So I didn't really ask, and maybe now would be a good time to ask. With everyone choosing their characters, did you just pretty much just let them choose whatever they felt like playing?
We dealt out 5 to each player, and everybody picked 1.
Okay.
It's not a bad haul for Black Canary, Apocalypse, and 2 villains. Apocalypse of course, letting you check the top card of your deck to see if it is a villain and if it is to draw it. Very handy for getting that +1 for each different villain you play.
Ooh, what'd you get for X-Ray's vision here?
I don't think there's anything impressive. Maybe a kick or something.
Yes, it's just a kick.
X-Ray didn't pay off very much this time around.
You mean you don't get Hell every time?
No, I don't, unfortunately. I'm just not that lucky. I'm shocked it paid off that well the first time around. Unless I'm mistaken, I'm still bolting here, which is why I was buying the kicks mid-turn.
Yeah, buy the kicks for 6, play Starbolt for 5. That's not too bad.
It effectively turns the kicks into 1 for 1 VP.
Yes.
Which is a great ratio.
Sure.
And I believe I had done the math beforehand, so I wasn't getting the supervillain anyway, so...
So now we see the first visit of chlorokinesis, getting to look at what everybody's got, choose what stays and what goes away. Looks like a lot of punches. I don't know how to call to leave those on the deck. Oh, Doug loses something.
What'd you lose, Doug?
I don't recall. I think it was the superpowers. Oh, it looks blue. It might have been Man of Steel. I remember losing that once this game to something similar.
Sure. It's a nice turn.
Yes, Cinderblock, giving you the ability to recycle defenses. It's definitely strong.
It's hard to complain about anything that lets you draw a card.
Yeah.
Frankly, it's hard to complain if it's a defense.
True. No, there weren't any actual defenses.
Really? You guys didn't have very many defenses in this game?
No, I meant his turn didn't have any actual defenses. It was all... Cinderblock isn't a defense in and of itself.
It lets you put a defense from your discard pile on top of your deck.
It guarantees you a defense for the next round, but...
If you have one in your discard pile.
True.
And there goes the Penguin.
Yep. He disappeared on the Gotham City docks. It's dangerous even for the villains of Gotham City, apparently.
They're not exactly known for cooperating well. At least not for extended periods of time.
And since Steven had gotten so many equipment off the top of the main deck, he decided to go with the utility belt and try to maximize those into 5 victory points. Oh, Moloch the Mystic destroys another punch, and here everybody starts losing stuff. But fortunately, it looks like so far we've all lost starters.
Yeah, I think it was all starters that round.
Matthew loses a kick.
Yeah, well, he may have decided the kick was worth it. To lose a kick over a starter, depending on what was in his hand.
That's fair enough. They're the same VP for him. Doesn't really matter.
One power difference, but...
Yeah.
One power doesn't usually swing things too bad.
So who are we waiting on here again?
Davis. Something. Here comes Scythe. Still, nobody's got no weakness from that. He's got the power for Gentleman Ghost. Hector Hammond, the supervillain nobody defends against.
Yeah, pretty much.
Doug's safe. Matthew gets a couple weaknesses.
I know, but it's kind of worth it for Shazam.
Shazam is pretty strong.
It's pretty late in the game, though. I think there's only 2 more supervillains. So you don't particularly want...
Yeah, it worked out pretty well for me.
I was like, what?
To go with my 2 weaknesses.
Yeah. No, but this late in the game, you're not going to probably see whatever's in your discard pile if you have plenty of main deck left.
We're not that far down. If you've got a big deck, then that's fine. But I think most of us are seeing these cards again.
Azarath. I haven't played with that one before, and I probably just mispronounced its name.
Azarath, yes. It's discard a card from your hand once per turn to cause everybody else to suffer an attack and discard a card.
Ah.
Here's a Psycho Pirate again. A couple of punches, but... Cinder Block, but he doesn't have any defenses in his discard pile. This is just a draw card. Still not a bad turn, especially since he's got Shazam.
Yeah.
Playface is always fun with that. It's way more fun when Clayface is the top card of the main deck and you can go off on an infinite combo. Here comes Eclipso, which is discard the top card of your... Everybody discards the top card of their deck and you get to play all of them. And what's more, you also get the ability of all of their superheroes. So, I get -1 cost for buying attacks, I get +1 power for each different superpower I play, +1 power for each different villain I play, and I can buy the top card of the main deck for 4 power.
The most relevant part about that is it's not an attack. It's just not...
Right, it just happens.
It just happens.
Although the Chlorokinesis I just did is an attack, and here I take advantage of the fact that it is not Deadshot, and I leave Doug's Kick on top of his deck, because he revealed his hand that he's got Man of Steel. Oh, and there Doug realized, wait, that punch should have gotten shuffled back in. So we took care of that. Now I get to play Ha'el, and I get the +1 bonus from being Black Canary. And I get the +3 for being Martian Manhunter for 2 villains.
How much power did you end up with?
Let's see. 10, 14 so far.
Okay, so it's not like going to be 30 power for that turn or something.
No, but I did get to put 2 good cards at the bottom of my deck with Zatanna, so she earned some of her value.
It's really hard to eclipse 20 without something ridiculous like Man of Steel or Parallax or anything like that.
I don't know, Richard seems to pull the ridiculous out a lot.
Stop letting him get stuff like Man of Steel and Parallax and stuff.
There's 20. It looks like 20 was what I ended up with.
See, he didn't eclipse 20. He got to 20.
Pretty solid turn.
Yes.
This Martian Manhunter, Arkham Asylum is very appealing. Increases my chances of getting that second villain. Joker. This is a fun attack. He gets to pass cards off to other people, preferably weaknesses.
And here's where I pass even more victory points.
Yep, we give Matthew a punch. That's +1 victory point from Solomon Grundy. And now for the villain that slows down the game the most, Phobia. Everybody discards a card, and they can discard it into anybody's discard pile except for the person who played Phobia and anybody who defended against the attack. Which, every time we play it, people have to think about, how does this work again? And yeah,
sure.
Science Cell just flipped up before Black Canary's turn. So
well, but Blue Beetle's up there too.
Yeah. I don't see how that's relevant.
They're both awesome cards.
They are both awesome cards, but if your superhero triggers off of villains, you're going to pick Science Villain.
I'll take the 10 VP over Blue Beetle any day. Any of the continuous defenses. Yeah.
This is the beauty of it, though, with Joker, and there's a Psycho Pirate that was hit on this turn. Doesn't have enough. I don't know if Doug's going to either.
Well, I think the thing for me is I have maybe the one villain that was given to me off of the super villain.
Sure.
The Black Lantern, Aquaman, I believe. So.
Still, David's got to be kicking himself right now.
Doug still had his Man of Steel, though, so he's got the 6. He could have done it. He does.
It does double the...
There's Harvest again. Harvest has already gotten him 8 victory points in the 2 times he's played it. Plus an extra 2 if you consider the fact that one of those he was able to save from being destroyed when it had been destroyed. It's very solid, and he is just running away with this game. It's crazy.
Are you sure Matthew didn't win?
Well, we'll get to that later.
Spoilers.
Black Adam. Wait, I tend to play...
That killed Steven.
Yeah.
He had Saint Walker to leverage all the heroes he had, and that goes away.
Well, Steven just kept getting pounded for that Saint Walker, because to a different supervillain attack earlier in the game, he had to add it back to the lineup, so he had to spend a turn buying it back.
Well, and then Doug destroys his precious Man of Steel, and Matthew just destroys White Lantern Corps and gets him right back again. So Matthew again with the big plays. And here is the controversial play of the game. Eclipso revealing Mongol and Duplication. I think we actually misplayed this, looking back at it again. I've reread Duplication, and I don't think I would be allowed to play Mongol again with it. Because it doesn't say choose another card you played this turn, it says choose a card that you have in play. And after I've played Mongol, it goes to Matthew's discard pile, so I wouldn't have been able to play Duplication, like I do, on Mongol, getting to play it 2 extra times, and then destroying one out of somebody's discard pile.
So you're saying you did this wrong?
Yeah,
yes, we played this
incorrectly.
Okay.
The only thing we played wrong was that I couldn't play Mongol because it was in the discard pile. We played it correctly that when Duplication says each opponent destroys a card with that name in their discard pile, that Mongol would be destroyed by that, except that I couldn't have played Mongol with it to begin with. So that part we got right, but we got wrong the part that let me play Mongol.
There is a difference between in play and have played.
Yes. Which, to be fair, I mean, the card is on the other side of the table. I'm not looking straight at it at this point. I'm playing it from memory.
And you don't have all the cards memorized by now?
I have what they do pretty well memorized. Don't have exact wording, though. Sorry.
It's just too many cards.
I know.
So there goes Mongol into the destroyed pile because it was duplicated. Yeah.
How many VPs Mongol?
5, I think.
Okay. Hoping that's not the difference.
Won't answer that.
You know, honestly, for anyone listening, if they haven't figured it out, I didn't play in this game, and this is my first time watching it, so...
Whereas I've played it and watched it because of editing. In fact, I have watched it twice between editing for, delays from shuffling and just dithering, and then once to edit in all of these cool effects that show you what is going on.
Speaking of cool effects that keep going on, we should have a running power total, I think, for future videos.
That's so hard, though. I wanted to do that, but it's so hard. If any of you out there know Adobe After Effects and can tell me how to do that, feel free to contact us at thecardgameguys@gmail.com.
You notice they're called the Card Game Guys, but they have a woman helping talk right now?
Hey, guys is inclusive. And this was a big pickup, using buying Demonic Influence and then getting it into my hand with Hector Hammond on a turn where I've played 4 villains at 6 power, which is more than it cost me to buy it.
Nice.
So yeah, black out.
So you swept the table?
Yes. Now here's another thing where it would have been nice to have Steven on the mics, because he was very critical of me at this point. He was assuring me that I definitely shouldn't have bought those last 3 cards in the lineup. I should have bought the top 2 cards in the main deck. As it turns out, he may have been right, because T-Wing was one of those 2 cards, and that would have been a big VP swing.
Sure.
But you have no way of knowing that, and I would rather have had... Those were good, cheap cards. So I was happy to have them for their VP and for their effects.
I missed how you were supposed to be buying cards off the top of the main deck.
I played Eclipso, which gives me his Shazam ability.
Right.
Right.
This would have been such a good deck to play as Beast Boy.
Yeah,
There's
would have been pretty strong.
Starbolt, and then there's Hawk Girl.
Yeah, and Saint Walker and Green Arrow were in there to combo out your Hawk Girl plays.
Yep.
Yeah, but there's a beauty of randomized decks. You don't know what you're going to get.
True. Could just play with all the cards all the time.
Ha ha.
That would make Crisis super easy.
That would make Crisis super easy.
Someone does
Steven
not
playing
want that.
dirty. He's like, if I can't have Saint Walker, nobody gets Green Arrow.
Yeah.
This is a pretty good pickup, though, for him, getting the T-Wing and Hawk Girl. So that's at least 2 VP there, plus he's got punches, vulnerabilities, and weaknesses, so that's at least 3 more.
And Hawk Girl's a pretty good just power play for him, because he's been picking up plenty of heroes, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he had Saint Walker for a little while, so... Shimmer to hand out some weaknesses.
Although at this point in the game, people are going to have those starters. Although apparently not, as I'm watching this turn now.
Gets rid of 1 from Matthew, so it's a 2 VP swing for Matthew.
I don't think I have a destroy effect in my deck at this point. So, that's why I have all my
And this was a
starters.
nice order of play. Shimmer to make everybody destroy a starter from their hand, and then giving everybody weakness unless they have another starter in their hand.
Yeah,
But we
David
all-
likes playing like that, doesn't he?
What's the correct play?
Yeah, that's the order you have to do that in.
No, I'm just saying David tends to get those sorts of cards and do those sorts of things.
Sure. I mean, it's synergy. It's making the cards do more than they do on their own.
Sorry, Mom.
Here we are on our last supervillain, and it's Graves. This is always an interesting challenge when you're playing, to try to figure out how you want to try Graves. Do you want to go for the card with cost and try to actually get some benefit out of destroying it? Or do you just get rid of what you can? Sometimes you don't have that choice, but when you do, it's always interesting.
I almost always go for getting rid of, thinning the deck.
Yeah.
With him being the last supervillain, I can see the choice being harder, but...
Yeah, but Matthew wanted to draw some cards, so he got rid of his kick. Hopefully it pays off for him if he gets a turn. Doug could get the last supervillain.
It's another case where White Lantern Corps is just good with Graves.
Yes.
Yeah, 6 cost, and you get it back immediately.
Although the best play I've ever done with White Lantern Corps was when I was playing as Bane. Play that as your first card, get +2 power for destroying it, and it just goes to your discard pile where it was going to go anyway.
Yep.
And it's actually easier to recur if you've got something that can do that.
Well, it got back around to Matthew.
I didn't have enough power to take Graves. I only had 6 or something. Which is why I took possession, because it's a really good superpower. I'll never see it again. I'll probably but
Yeah. But it's 2 victory points for 6, so you're not losing out on what you could have done otherwise. And if it happens to stretch out that long, it's a good play. Plus, you do have Man of Steel in the deck.
I had Man of Steel.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
he lost.
Oh,
Had Man of Steel. in the
sorry, Doug. Oh, I just discarded my Arkham Asylum. Brutal. Joker is such a good card to play.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get used to in this game being like, I love this card I have. Oh, whoops, it's gone.
Yeah, it's always rough when you lose something that it's just a favorite card of yours. Or you have a combo set up in your head and then, it fizzles because by the time you get back around to you, it's ruined from discards or whatnot.
Well, there
Well,
goes
it's the game.
Graves. That wraps up the game, and now everybody starts counting up their points. Fortunately, this is in the past, so we know the scores already.
Actually, I don't.
Now that's the final score as the game was played. As we commented, I probably couldn't have actually played with a Mongol with duplication, so Matthew would have won with those 5 points, so we're going to go ahead and call it in his favor. Thank you for watching. Tune in again next time on The Card Game Guys. If you need to contact us, you can reach us at thecardgameguys@gmail.com.